Hello everyone, this is All 22 and a Few Film Review, where I'll be giving you my honest analysis on NFL and collegiate talent as a former collegiate linebacker and an aspiring scout. Today we're going to be going into my top 10 cornerback rankings of the 2025 class. Just like the edge class we did before, this is a pretty strong class, and that's why I wanted to get it out to you guys early. That being said, going forward, I want to do the positions you guys want to see. So let me know down below who you guys want to see next. Unfortunately, due to the fact that I got into YouTube so late in the draft process, and due to the fact that I have a full-time job, I probably won't be getting to every position. So I want to make sure I get out the videos that you guys want to see before I start getting into the class as a whole. Kind of giving you guys top 50s, maybe even top 100s, extending that out a little bit, mock drafts, second round mock drafts, third round mock drafts, that kind of stuff, whatever you guys want to see. So, thank you for clicking on the video. Without further ado, let's get into the top 10 corner prospects of 2025. First off, we're going to be taking a look at Ben Morrison out of Notre Dame, a 21-year-old junior, measuring in at 6 foot flat, 190, 30 and 3/8-inch arms, and 9 1/4-inch hands. Unfortunately, Ben only got 6 games before he injured his hip in the 7th game and ended his season effectively. Very, very unfortunate for the player, something you hate to see. He graded out in a 71.4, ranked 322nd out of 848 qualifying corners for PFF. In those 6 games, he registered 14 total tackles, 0 interceptions, 3 pass deflections, and 0 forced fumbles. Ben Morrison is a quicker than fast player, not the deepest deep speed in the world. He's got some good closing bursts, some decent acceleration, very decent fluidity in his hips. A little bit limited in the change of direction game, but a solid athlete, nothing crazy. He's a outside off zone type corner, someone you don't want to get into press situations super early due to the athletic deficiencies as well as some technique deficiencies in jam. As some younger corners will do, he will stop his feet while extending his arms, which allows the receiver to just kind of accelerate past him because he's picking up his feet. The wide receiver's picking up their feet faster than the corner will. That's something that he struggles with sometimes. But a very, very good, disciplined, triggering downhill corner in zone. Doesn't bite on too much. Isn't going to have the deepest range, but you can play him in some press situations as long as you have safety help. You feel like it's something you can develop deep down the line, or not super deep down the line, just down in his career. Very, very solid corner that you can get in early round 3, in my opinion. Probably never going to be your true number 1 starting corner, but someone you can match up pretty well with, and someone that's just going to be a very solid piece in a few years, even if it's not day 1. Next, I want to talk about my number 9 corner, Jacob Parrish out of Kansas State, a 21-year-old junior standing at 5'10", 199, with 30 and 7/8-inch arms and 9-inch hands. Had a PFF grade of 74.7, grading in as their 186th corner. In 2024, gained 50 total tackles, 1 interception, 7 pass deflections, and 0 forced fumbles. He was a very nice tester at the combine, running a 4.35 40 with a 1.51 split, 37.5-inch vert, 10.9 broad, 12 reps on the bench. Explosive testing, you definitely see the explosiveness on film. I had a little bit of questions about his deep speed. I didn't see 4.35 speed. I understand the 1.51 split and the jumping numbers because he does have very good acceleration, foot quickness. He does trigger downhill very well. You see nice closing burst. I just felt like wide receivers were able to separate vertically on him at times, especially when they were trying to separate physically. If he was lacking a tiny bit in his press timing and getting his feet slowed up, or he wasn't able to land hands at the breaking point if he's getting shoved, He's a very physical player, but that is one spot where his physicality is a tiny bit lacking. For my synopsis of Jacob Parrish, I wrote scrappy, smart, fluid nickel defender that has very good stickiness, hips, and foot quickness, that has questionable deep speed and some inconsistencies in spacing and zone, but shows a very good trigger downhill, is physical at the catch point, and has good eyes. Very nice route disruption when able to land hands, strong in jam, and has solid placement. Also maintains hands on the route pretty well when he is able to land hands. Will get burned deep when not able to land hands and disrupt the route. That is a big part of his game. And he will allow some free releases to quicker receivers off the line. He's got some great feet, but at the release point, he's just a little bit slow to reacting to the release, and he won't get his feet kind of pedaling as fast as the receiver is, allowing quicker receivers to kind of accelerate around and manipulate him a little bit easier. I think that's why you want to play him in more of a off style. It's especially considering his length kind of limits him in press at times. He said he's got some nice placement and some nice power when he's able to land, but his timing's a little bit off. People with longer arms and just bigger size in general that are able to take more contact kind of just revert his contact back into him at times at the press when he's not landing first. But he is a very, very, very fluid off man, off zone type corner. I think you want to play him in more off man because of the stickiness. Very, very, very sticky corner. Very good in trail technique. Takes good angles. Doesn't really bite on a whole lot. And sticks to that near hip very, very well. He did have a little bit inconsistencies in zone spacing. That's why I have him as an off man. Not so much as a versatile, but I still think you can play him in zone. Very good trigger. He sees routes pretty well, just not always the best spacing on the routes. Very nice run defender as well. Not a whole lot of cross field sprinting effort, but a smart edge defender. Knows how to contain his edge, knows how to get in the backfield and hit low. Comes in with decent power when he's coming in low. He's not missing a ton of tackles. Just a very solid slot defender that you should be able to find in that late second, early third mark because he is more, slated as a slot. He's not going to have a ton of high upside, and teams aren't going to take him super high, especially because he's not a super elite prospect coming out. But a very, very nice, solid slot that should be a very good player in the NFL in a few years. Now we're going to talk about my number 8 corner, Azariah Thomas out of Florida State, a 21-year-old junior, 6'1.5", 197, 32 and 3/8 inch arms and 10-inch hands, coming in with a PFF grade of 76.5, tied for their 139th graded corner. Totaled 53 total tackles, 1 interception, 4 pass deflections, and 0 forced fumbles in 2024. Very, very long, tradesy, very fast corner. Very fun to watch. My synopsis for him was a long, fast, fluid corner that is very raw in all phases, sticky in trail, allows a lot of space in off coverages, and flips his hips early in his mirror, which is very interesting for someone so athletic. You want to see him play a little bit tighter from the off. He has okay press, but stops his feet and doesn't show a lot of strength, very inconsistent placement. Shows a lot of good effort in the run, but doesn't have good stack and shed technique, gets blocked very easily, doesn't show a lot of power against the run. He does like to snake his nose in it. I will give him that. He gives some good effort. He likes to trigger downhill. He's got a good trigger. He likes to try to make some splash plays, trying to hit low in the backfield. But the tackling technique to wrap up isn't insane, and the technique to shed isn't great either. He's a solid mid to late day 2 pick that has incredible upside and length. He has athleticism to be a zone or a man fit for you. He's got okay eyes, but he does bite pretty often. He's not the stickiest guy in the mirroring phase, but he's decent in his trail. He just gets lost really easily. Like he gets sold vertical on hitches, on comebacks, but very fun to watch. Physical at the catch point. He likes to disrupt routes from off, and he has good route disruption from off. He lands his hands pretty well in that phase. It's just not great in the press. But since it's good and off, you think you can translate it to press? I think early, due to the athleticism, you're going to want to play him in a lot more man scenarios. Try to get that trail and that mirror toned down and really refined. You can play really good early if you can get that refined. I think the zone might take a little bit longer for him to do, but again, versatile, can do either for you. I have a 6.48 grade for him, a late second, early third rounder. He's getting a lot of first round hype, and I get it. He's so athletic, he's long, he's fluid. I just think he's so raw right now that you don't want to put him on the field that early that often. You don't want him to be a down to down starter for you. He might get a little bit frustrated, lose some confidence early because of that. But as a rotational guy, someone you get in the second, I wouldn't be mad about, him being taken anywhere in the second or even taken early day or early third. Fun to watch. I think he's going to be very good if you can develop him right, get his mind right, get his technique and press right, especially. Just a lot of work on for him right now. My number 7 cornerback is going to be Darian Porter out of Iowa State, a 24-year-old redshirt senior, measuring in at 6'3", 195, 33 and 1/8 inch arms, 9-inch hands. Had a PFF grade of 79.4, grading as their 80th corner. In 2024, had 18 total tackles, 3 interceptions, 2 pass deflections, and 0 forced fumbles as a first-year starter. Very, very elite tester. Ran a 4.340, 149, 10-yard split, 36.5 vert, 10.11 broad, with a 6.713 cone and 4.04 shuttle. The agility testings were a little bit better than I thought. He is a much better straight line athlete on tape than he is a change of direction athlete. Although he's not like super bad change of direction, I just didn't think it was as good as his straight line work. His feet are a little bit choppy at times, get a little bit stuck at times. He plays a little bit flat-footed and off. Like I said, a first-year starter at 24, came into Iowa State as a receiver actually, and then switched over to corner, but mainly just played some supplementary snaps and special team snaps his whole career. They finally decided to start him this year and honestly put on some very good tape for a first year player. I was very surprised. For his synopsis, I wrote a long, athletic, tradesy but raw corner in his first year. Incredible long and recover speed, quick feet, solid to good change direction. It is slightly limited but has jumpy feet, slightly limited fluidity, and some questionable diagnostics. He shows good mirroring technique and stickiness from trail. It's definitely where he is strongest in his man. He will play flat-footed from off, so you definitely want to keep him in a press alignment. But he does have great recovery speed when he does get beat, when he is playing flat-footed. Takes very good angles to undercut routes as well for someone that's in their first year. Just always getting to the ball when the ball's in the air. Very questionable run diagnostics. He gives some good effort and can fill in off the edge, but he isn't always keeping his contain. Gets blocked pretty easily, but he definitely likes to fill in and try to be a little bit nosy in the run. You like to see the high effort. Very, very tradesy and raw. You expect that out of someone in their first year. But he just shows so many good flashes from someone who's in their first year starting. He isn't great at in biting. He will get sold vertically sometimes. But for a first year, it's not bad at all. You think you can develop him a lot because he has very, very, very little experience at this position. There's only upside, there's only room to improve. The fact that he is showing this solid of tape in his first year is very, very promising. You think you can develop him a lot, especially if you can develop his press technique. You can do a lot with him. He's got very long arms and good recovery speed. So even if he does get a little bit inconsistent with his feet, if they're flat-footed, if he's picking them up when he's mirroring, you know you can recover and still get in a position to make a play on the ball or the receiver. Decently physical at the catch point. He's not nuanced in attacking the hands. Fun player to watch. I like him a lot. I think in maybe a year or two, he's going to be a very, very nice corner for somebody. I gave him a 6.55 grade, equivalates to a late second. Like I said, outside press man. You don't really want to see him in off because he does like to play flat footed from it. And you don't want to see him in zone early because his instincts aren't great. He is very jumpy. He does see routes pretty well, and he likes to match routes, which is nice. Still very jumpy. He's going to get manipulated by quarterback eyes very, very easily at the next level if you play him in zone early. My next two corners actually share the same grade, so instead of getting my number 6 corner, it's going to be my number 5B technically. Trey Amos out of Ole Miss, a transfer from Alabama by way of Louisiana. 23-year-old senior, 6'1", 195, 31.25 inch arms, 9-inch hands. PFF grade of 85.6, graded as their 19th. 2024, he had 50 total tackles, 3 interceptions, 13 pass deflections, 1 forced fumble. Tested in at a 4.43 40, 1.6 10-yard split, 32.5-inch vert, 10.6 broad, 13 reps on the bench. The testing numbers definitely make sense. He's got some good speed, but the acceleration and some of the explosiveness is not as great as some of the other corners in this class and some of the other corners we've already talked about. But it's still very manageable. I mean, you can play with 4.43 speed, 1.6 10 yards, a little bit slow of a get off, not the most explosive vert, but he's going to be fine on the outside. I feel very, very confident he's going to be completely fine on the outside. Marcus Whitman over at the Franchise Guy, who I have a lot of respect for, put out a tweet saying that he wouldn't be surprised if a lot of people more athletic got drafted above him, but he had a lot longer career. I fully agree with that. I think I wouldn't be surprised at all if he slid into like the middle second round, and he just shouldn't. The tape on him is so clean. He is so good. Like I said, not the most athletic person in the entire class, but he's still got nice athleticism. It's not a liability. And the tape everywhere else is just great stuff. Technical, quick zone coverage corner that also shows solid mirroring technique and trail from press bail, solid mirroring from squat. He needs to work on his biting from his trail. That's his biggest downfall in man, is that he does bite on routes. But you think you can really teach him to get out of that habit. He has good eyes in zone. You just got to teach him how to translate that. Needs to work on overcommitting to the deep route. He doesn't want to get beat deep, you can tell, and sometimes he will get lost on comebacks and hitches because wide receivers will sell him deep and just break down and come back. Since he isn't the most overwhelming athlete, he isn't the stickiest against speed routes like horizontal crossers or under routes. He isn't going to close the best on those, but he does take better angles on intermediate routes. He jumps routes very well out of zone. He needs a little bit of technical work in his press, just getting his feet going. He will be a tiny bit flat footed at the snap at times, leads to him losing a decent amount of reps to quicker receivers. They'll get free get offs on him, create some good separation in that way. If he just works on his feet and the timing of when he's extending his hands, he can get a lot more done in his press. But overall, such a solid corner to have on the outside. I would love to see him go towards the end of the first round. I think he should. I wouldn't be surprised if he fell. But if your team is able to grab him in the second round, you're getting a day one starter in zone, in my opinion, that also has some man upside. Never going to be the super flashy, athletic, like Tariq Woolen type of guy. You're getting a guy who knows how to disrupt hands when he's in position, is a physical run defender. He has very nice stack and shed technique, has pretty good angles on the run, decently disciplined in the run, nice tackler, just very sound and good everywhere across his game. He doesn't really have any one major deficiency, even if he is a tick lower in some aspects of his game, whether it be technique or athletics. He is just so good overall, just super well rounded. Next, I want to talk about my 5A corner, Siobhan Revelle Jr., a 23-year-old senior out of Eastern Carolina, measuring in at 6'2", 194, with 32 and 5/8 inch arms, 39 and 5/8 inch hands, PFF grade of 84 through 3 games. Unfortunately, tore his ACL in September, but looked really nice through those 3 games. Recorded 8 total tackles, 2 interceptions, and 2 pass deflections through those games. No forced fumbles. You might be thinking that an ACL tear could be very scary for a 23-year-old rookie that is at a position with a lot of movement involved, especially if he's going to be going from the American Conference to NFL play straight off an ACL tear. But man, this guy has speed to sacrifice and more. He is so incredibly fast. He moves so differently. Not the most insane change of direction. He will get choppy at times, but straight line, this guy is just a different mover, man. He erases any space he gives up immediately, jumps things you don't think he would be able to, plays some things in zones that he shouldn't be able to. He's all over the field. Such a fun player to watch. Probably the most high effort player I've seen in anyone I've watched out of this entire class yet. This man is always flying all over the field, runner pass. He's going to the ball if it's on the opposite side in a full sprint. He's trying to make plays in the backfield. He's trying to make plays down the line backside. He is everywhere at all times, and he gets there in an instant. This guy is so fun to watch. A pretty good man cover corner, even though he's a little bit raw. He has some really nice mirroring technique off the snap, out of press bail. He has a pretty okay jam technique. He's got strong arms, but he needs to be a little bit more refined in moving his feet with his arms and his placement. Once he gets those down, he's going to be great at press man on the outside. Like I said, good mirroring off the snap, out of bail. He trails decently well. He will get a little bit manipulated by route nuance. He's not super great in watching people from the backside, but like I said, any space he does give up, any space he loses from his lack of true stickiness, he makes up immediately, gets directly back to that near hip, or undercuts the route for plays that normal people can't make. This guy is just different. The range, everything. In zone, he's not inept at all. He gets a little bit manipulated. His eyes aren't the best, and he is a tiny bit jumpy, but he leverages between people pretty well. And like I said, with that athleticism, when he's leveraging people, he can bait the quarterback into making throws that he just makes plays on. And you're just like, man, who is this guy? Like I said, high effort in the run, triggers downhill super well. He makes plays in the backfield. He'll blow through tight ends trying to block him off the edge on corner blitzes. He's just uh, lightning, hair on fire at all times, just going everywhere physically, strongly, fast. He's got good length. He's physical at the catch point. He has good ball skills. 2 interceptions in 3 games this year. He knows how to get his hands on the ball. This man is just all upside, all ceiling. A little bit risky with him coming off the injury at not the highest conference, but I feel so good about this guy. Might not be the most insane person year one, but this guy's going to be a good player in this league. Now we're going to be talking about my number 4 corner, Will Johnson out of Michigan, a 22-year-old junior coming in at 6'2", 194, 30 and 1/8 inch arms, 90 and 1/8 inch hands. Played 6 games before injury in 2024. He missed some games due to a turf toe injury. In those 6 games, graded out at a 76.5, tied for the 139th graded corner for PFF. In those 6 games, 14 total tackles, 2 interceptions, 3 pass deflections, 0 forced fumbles. A lot of people know Will Johnson. He had a lot of hype coming into this year as the cornerback 1. This year's tape wasn't as great post-championship season. And then he gets injured, which also doesn't really help his stock. Tape that he showed this year is still not bad. Just wasn't the tape he had last year. He comes in as a long, full-size, smart, and physical zone style corner who does their best work from press and squat. His deep speed might be slightly lacking, but his technique, his fluidity, and his just overall just hips just work out so well. He makes up for it. He has great hand fighting to disrupt routes down the field, whether that's at the break point, post release, especially at soft and off alignments. He just receives routes well and redirects hands, makes them redirect their pathing. Very good work. He has good mirror and trail technique, despite the kind of lack of overwhelming speed, like we're seeing with the change of direction and the hips and the feet. Just so good. He's able to match that hip very well. Sticky, doesn't really lose it, that doesn't really allow a ton of separation when he is trailing. He does allow separation underneath. You can tell he does not want to get beat deep, and he's going to allow a lot more space because of that. Still very technical, and that's just talking about his man. From zone, he's just so good. He's even better. Quick trigger, just snaps on routes with an instant. Good angles. He undercuts routes from zone well. He'll undercut a slant or just break on the ball quick enough that he's just either picking the ball up or just disrupting the entire route. Very good from zone. Good eyes, doesn't bite, disciplined. Very, very solid player. Even if he doesn't have the highest overall ceiling due to that speed, he's still so technically sound and quick that he's still going to have a place in the NFL. I don't think there's too much room to just be incredibly scared about him. Not super exceptional effort in the run. He does tackle well and has some pretty disciplined technique, but he's just not going in and filling all the time. He's not running downhill to try to make a play. Overall solid, just not super high effort, but a very, very good player overall. 7.15 grade for me. So a late first, early second round type of player. Very sound. I like him a lot. Just, you really hope you're getting that junior year version of him, or that prior year of him. Sorry. Now we're going to be talking about my number 3 corner, Maxwell Hairston out of Kentucky, a 22-year-old redshirt junior, measuring at 5'11", 183, 31-inch arms, 8 3/4 inch hands. Played 7 games in 2024 due to a shoulder injury. Graded out at a 67 according to PFF. They're 485th graded. In those 7 games, he totaled 19 tackles, 1 interception, 4 pass deflected, and 2 forced fumbles. He came into the combine running a 4.28 40 with a 1.5 10-second split, a 39.5-inch vert, and a 10.9 broad. So elite testing, very fast. You see it on tape. He is a very fast, fluid corner. He's got some decent length to him, nothing exceptional. Maxwell Hairston is just an all-around solid corner. Doesn't have any super exceptional length or super exceptional strength, but he's fine enough to be left on the outside. Just probably shouldn't be left in a lot of jam situations. Has some pretty decent timing and placement on those jams, just again, not physically strong. He will physically lose at the break point at times when getting pushed off or getting boxed out. Not super consistently, but you do see him lose to bigger receivers in that aspect. Very fast, very fluid, nice change of direction, has some pretty good eyes in zone. He understands route concepts well. You'll see him leverage concepts well, whether that's an under dig or a corner hitch. He understands how to play in between those routes, and he has the athleticism to be able to break down or fall off and kind of match that route deep downfield. He has very good angles coming into play with that as well. You see that understanding of the leverage of the angles he needs to take. He cuts off throwing lanes. He's pretty sticky. That athleticism does come into play in trail. He's not super bitey too, which is a good thing. You see him stick downfield pretty well. He's not always going to get lost on hitches or comebacks. He's not going to consistently always, lock them down, but he's not going to consistently get ran off by those vertical threats. He has pretty good ball skills. Not the most insane ability to disrupt the hands at the catch point due to that strength, but he does have good timing. He understands placement well, so he will get that ball coughed up a bit. Pretty high effort run defender. He is going to get blocked. He will get driven back. But for his size, he honestly has some decent shed technique, and he has a good motor in the run game. He likes to stick his nose in there. He likes to get off the edge, get some plays in near the line of scrimmage or behind the line of scrimmage. A very overall solid corner, extremely good athleticism, scheme versatile in my opinion, as long as you're playing him off. He's getting some more draft hype. Daniel Jeremiah, who does amazing work, long time in the NFL, has him climbing up his board. He's got him into the first round now. I believe he should be a late first round, early second round type guy. I have a 7.2 grade on him, so that's more of that true late first. But I understand if he would fall. I just think he's just too well rounded and too good of an athlete to fall out of the first round, in my opinion. Now we're going to be talking about my number 2 corner, Jahdae Barron out of Texas, a 23-year-old senior, standing at 5'11", 194, 29 and 5/8 inch arms, 9 and 1/2 inch hands, a PFF grade of 90.7, grading as their third corner. In 24, he had 67 total tackles, 5 interceptions, 11 pass deflections, and 0 forced fumbles. Came into the combine running a 4.3940, a 1.510 split, a 35-inch vert, and a 10.3 broad. Also won the Thorpe Award for the nation's highest DB. Jahdae Barron is a very sticky slot that is just super smart, super fluid, good effort in all kind of facets of the game. For his synopsis, I wrote a very fluid and quick corner that gives you nickel and safety versatility. He played outside of Texas. He played nickel. The year before, he was playing safety and still looked very good. You could put him anywhere, and I think he'll be fine. I have him projected as a true nickel just because I think on the outside he's scheme dependent. Due to the smaller size, you're not going to want to have him in press consistently. But we still see corners that are shorter with shorter arms still thrive in the NFL. It's not the end all be all. You just don't want to put them in certain situations where that length might fail them. And an off zone quarters matching type system, I think he'd be great on the outside. You look at corners like DJ Reed and Darius Williams when he was playing with the Rams, shorter corners who would typically projected to be on the inside that play outside and still do it at a very high level. I think he can do that, but I think he'd be much more versatile and safe in a nickel role where he can play man zone super fluently. You don't have to worry about him being in press. He's close to the line of scrimmage where he has good effort, good tackling, discipline, decent shot and shed technique, even though he is smaller. Bigger blockers will get him. But against non-strong wide receivers, smaller blockers, he's going to get off of them. He's going to be making tackles all over the field. A very quick, fluid defender. He has good mirroring, good trail. One of the stickiest defenders in this class. Excellent eyes from zone. He doesn't bite on a lot. He will be a tiny bit jumpy in his feet at times, but mostly he is a consistent leverager, knows how to leverage routes correctly, has the athleticism to play between routes and break on the ball, takes some pretty solid angles on the ball. A very, very fun player to watch. Another guy that's just mostly all over the field, near the ball, making plays on it. I feel very good about Jahdae Barron. There's some questions about his deep speed. He came in the combine, ran a 4.39. I feel like his deep speed was fine. You really see it in his close and his burst. He's not always playing full speed, dropping back, but when he needs to tap into that gas tank, he can. He's just a very smooth mover, and he's not always running full speed. A very, very solid player. I have him as a 7.5, a true first round grade, more towards the end of a true first round grade, but it's still a true first round grade. Even though he's a slot, he still gives you outside versatility, still gives you safety versatility. He's excellent in all phases of the game. A very, very good player overall. Now we're going to be talking about my number one corner of the class, Travis Hunter, a 22-year-old junior out of Colorado, transferring over from Jackson State. 6 foot, 188, 31 and 3/8 inch arms, 9 and a quarter inch hands, with a PFF grade of 88.2, their 8th graded corner. In 2024, he totaled 35 tackles, 4 interceptions, 11 pass deflections, and 1 forced fumble. He also won the Heisman, the Ben Narek for the Defensive Player of the Year, the Blitnikoff for the Wide Receiver of the Year, the La Impact for the Character of the Year, the Hornung for the Most Versatile Player of the Year, and the Camp for the Overall Player of the Year. I mean, what is there to say about him that hasn't been said? This guy gets all the media attention, and it's for good reason. He might seem like an overblown prospect, or there might be some prospect fatigue because you see him so much, but I promise you, if anyone deserves it, it is him. This guy is just teach tape at corner. Even though he is a little slender, he doesn't have the thickest build. He is so technical and physically technical. Not to mention, he's an exceptional athlete as well. This guy isn't the fastest corner in the class. We saw some absolute demon burners, but he still has amazing deep speed, great fluidity in his hips, good change of direction. Just absolutely love everything you see from him. He can mirror, he can press. His press or his jam isn't the strongest because he isn't a physically strong player, but he has such good hand timing, decent pop because his hands are quick, and placement that he will land hands at least semi consistently and at least somewhat disrupt the route in that area. When mirroring, sometimes quicker receivers will give him a tiny bit of a fit. He does like to wait a second to get out of his stance and mirror. Sometimes that little lack of a step will give that receiver a step to get some quick separation, but it's not like he won't close it immediately with his angles and his feet. This guy has amazing trail technique. Just always in the hip pocket, leaning on the hip. He's always constantly either disrupting the route, disrupting the path, leaning on the receiver to just making it more difficult them to run their route. He is always disrupting. This guy is just different when it comes to this. At the catch point, he's also a first round receiver, so he has great ball skills. You see the pirouettic kind of jump and twists he makes in the air, just phenomenal. He is best from zone. His eyes are just insane. He leverages receivers so well. He always knows where the quarterback's looking. He breaks on the ball early. He jumps routes. He just does everything right. Absolute teach tape. The only things that are a slight knock is the true strength. Sometimes he will get physically separated on at the break point because of the strength. We already mentioned the press. He's just so good, though. So, so good. Another knock is he did not have a great run effort. I will give him leeway. He did play both ways. You're probably not going to be sprinting downhill to make every play in the run when you're also playing receiver, but no downhill run effort. I would like to see that improve in his NFL game if he isn't playing both ways as consistently. He would do a really good job at keeping angles on the run so that there wasn't any leakers or backside cutters. He's always keeping everything in contain. There's just no effort coming downhill at all, though. Still, extremely good corner. Absolute tape for the position. Someone to study if you want to learn corner. I gave him a 7.7, an early first. He's so good. He's going to go top 5 to top 10, depending on who takes who where. He should go top 5, whether it's for you're playing him a receiver and corner, or corner primarily with a little bit of receiver. He's just so versatile and so gifted, so smart, and so technical. There's just not really anything that makes you think he wouldn't be a good player in the league. And that's going to do it for my top 10 corners of the 2025 class. Like I said before, please let me know who you guys want to see next as far as position groups before I start just kind of diving into the entire class as a whole. But thank you guys so much if you stuck it out to the end. I try to work a lot more on my pacing and concising down what I'm saying, so this video wasn't an hour and a half like the Edge video. I really appreciate all of you that are sticking through the lumps and my kind of early bumps and bruises learning this stuff. I really appreciate all of it. Please let me know if there's anything down below that you think I should talk more on, that you want to engage on, that I missed, that you think may have missed. Talk to me. Thank you guys so much. Have a great day.